ended up at page 29. Okay, page 29, and the last head word was free, new word, type of lesson.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start with revision. Okay, let me just scroll down. Okay, here we go. 23, 24. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm ready.
What's a common reason for needing to work? Oh, just in time. What's a common reason for needing to work overtime? What's a common reason for needing to work overtime? A common reason
A
for
common
needing
reason
to work
for
overtime
needing to work
is
overtime
when there's an
is when
important
there's an
deadline to
important
meet.
important
Deadline to meet.
okay, important deadline to meet.
Very
Okay.
good. One more. A common reason
A
for
common
needing to
reason
work
for
overtime
needing to work
is when
overtime
there's
is
an
when there's
important
an
deadline to
important
meet.
important
Deadline
okay, important deadline to
to meet.
meet. Okay.
Very good. What's the opposite of to meet a deadline? What's the opposite of to meet a deadline? The opposite
The
of to
opposite
meet a
of to
deadline
meet a
is
deadline
to miss
is
a
to
deadline.
miss a deadline.
Very good. What could you say to a telephone receptionist if you wanted to speak to Mr. Jones, for example,
For
but didn't
example,
know his personal extension? What could you say to a telephone receptionist if you wanted to speak to Mr. Jones, for example,
for
but
example,
didn't know his personal extension?
after extension.
If I wanted to
If I
speak to
wanted to
someone,
speak to
for
someone,
example,
for
but I
example,
didn't know
but I
his
didn't know
extension,
his
I
extension,
could say,
I
could you
could
put me
say,
through?
could you put me
Mr.
through
Jones, please?
to Mr. Jones, please?
Very good. Okay. Let me just scroll down. Okay, here we go. If we're writing a business letter on plain paper without a letterhead, what's a common place to put our own address? If we're writing a business letter on a plain paper without a letterhead, where's a common place to put our own address? If we're writing a
If we are
business
writing
letter
a
on
business
plain
letter
paper
on plain paper
without a letterhead,
without a
a
letterhead,
common place
a
to put
common
our
place
own
to put our
address
own
is
address
on the top
is
right
on the
hand
top
corner.
right hand corner.
And where should we put the address of the person or company we're writing to? And where should we put the address of the person or company we're writing to? We should put the
We should
address
put
of
the
the
address
person or
of the
company
person
we're
or
writing
company
to
we are writing
below
to
our own address
below our own
on
address
the left hand side
on the left
of the
hand side
page.
of the page.
Very good. If we're writing to someone called Simon Fisher, for example, how should we start the letter? Dear Mr. Fisher, dear Simon Fisher, or dear Simon? If we're writing to someone called Simon Fisher, for example, how should we start the letter? Dear Mr. Fisher, dear Simon Fisher, or dear Simon? If we're writing to
If we are
someone
writing
called
to
Simon
someone
Fisher,
who's
if
called
we're
Simon Fisher,
one more, if we're writing
if we are
to
writing
someone called
to
Simon
someone called
Fisher,
Simon Fisher,
for example,
for
we should start
example,
the
we
letter
should start the
with
letter
dear Mr.
with
Fisher.
Dear Mr. Fisher.
Very good. How should we start a letter if we don't know the name of the person we're writing to? How should we start a letter if we don't know the name of the person we're writing to? If we don't know the
If we
name
don't
of
know
the
the name
person
of
we're
the
writing
person
to,
we are writing
we should
to,
start a
we should
letter
start the
with
letter
dear sir
with Dear
or
Sir
dear madam.
or Dear Madam.
What's the purpose of the line we often find at the start of a business letter that begins with the abbreviation RE? What's the purpose of the line we often find at the start of a business letter that begins with the abbreviation RE? The purpose of the
The
line
purpose of the
we
line
often find
we
at the
often
start of,
we often
we often find
find. Okay.
okay, one more. The purpose of the
The
line
purpose of the
we often find the
sorry,
purpose of the line
the purpose of the line
we often find
we often
at the
find.
start of a business letter.
Sorry, say
Uh,
it again.
one more. The purpose
Yeah,
of the
the
line
purpose of the
we
line
often find
we often
at
find
the start
at the
of
start
a business letter
of a business letter.
that
Okay,
begins with the
that begins
abbreviation
with the
RE
abbreviation
is to
RE
indicate
is to
what the letter
indicate
is
what
about.
the letter is about. Okay.
Very good. What should we mention in the first main paragraph? What should we mention in the first main paragraph? In the first main
In the first
paragraph,
main
we should
paragraph,
mention
we should
any
mention
earlier
any earlier
correspondence we're
correspondence
replying to
we are replying
and
to
our reason
and our
for writing
reason
the letter.
for writing the letter.
Very good. Why is it important to start a new paragraph each time we change the
Each time
subject
we
or make
change
an
the
important
subject or
new
make an
point?
important point.
Why is it important to start a new paragraph each time we change the subject
We
or
change
make
the
an important
subject,
new
make an
point?
important new
It's
point.
important to
It's
start a
important
new
to start a
paragraph
new
each
paragraph
time we
each
change
time
the subject
we change the
or
subject
make an
or
important
make an
new point
important new point
because it makes the
because
letter
it makes the
easier to
letter
read
easier to
and
read
understand.
and understand.
Waggy, should we use full forms or contracted forms in a business letter?
In a business
Should we use full forms or contracted forms in a business letter?
letter.
We should use
We should
full
use
forms
full
in a
forms
business
in
letter.
a business letter.
Why are linking words and expressions important in writing? Why are linking words and expressions important in our writing? Linking words
Linking
and
words and
expressions are
expressions
important
are
in our
important
writing
in our writings
because they help
because
to
they
connect
help
our
connect
ideas
our ideas
together clearly.
together clearly.
Right, give me a few examples of linking words and expressions. Give me a few examples of linking words and expressions, please. However,
However,
therefore, in
therefore,
order to,
in
and
order
on
to,
account of
and on account of
are few examples
a few
of
examples
linking
of
words and
linking words
expressions.
and expressions.
Right? If we want to make a request for the reader to do something specific after reading our letter,
Reading our
where's a
letter,
good place to put the request? If we want to make a request for the reader to do something specific
something
after
specific.
reading our letter,
After reading our
where's a
letter,
good place to
where's
put
a
the
good place
request?
to put the
If
request?
we want to make a
If we want
request
to make a
for the
request
reader to
for
do
the reader
something
to do
specific
something specific
after reading our
after
letter,
reading
a
our
good
letters,
place to put
a
the
good place
request
to put the
is
request
near the end.
is near the end.
Right? Good. What's the difference in use between yours sincerely and yours faithfully? What's the difference in use between yours sincerely and yours faithfully? The difference in
The
use
difference in
between
use
yours
between
sincerely
yours
and yours
sincerely
faithfully
and yours
is that
faithfully
we
is
use
that we
yours
use
sincerely
yours
when
sincerely
we've written
when we've written
a person's name at the
a
beginning of the
person's
letter,
name at the beginning of the letter,
whereas we use
whereas we
yours
use
faithfully
yours
when we've
faithfully
started the
when we
letter
started the
with
letter
dear sir or
with a
dear
dear
madam.
sir or dear madam.
Very good. What do we print below our signature at the end of a letter? What do we print below our signature at the end of a letter? We print our name
We print
and
our
job title.
sorry.
We print our name
Okay. We print our name
and job title
and job
below
titles
our signature
below our
at the end
signature
of a
at
letter.
the end of our letter.
At the end of a business email, what do we use instead of yours sincerely or yours faithfully? At the end of a business email, what do we use instead of yours sincerely and yours faithfully?
Faithfully.
At the end
At
of a
the end
business
of a
email,
business
we
email,
use
we
regards,
use regard,
best regards,
best regards,
kind regards,
kind regards,
etc.
etc.
instead of yours
Instead of
sincerely or yours faithfully.
yours sincerely or yours faithfully.
Very good. Okay, what do we call someone who establishes their own business? What do we call someone who establishes their own business? We call someone
We call
who
someone
establishes
who
their own
expresses
business
their own
an
businesses
entrepreneur.
an entrepreneur.
Very good. What proportion of new restaurants in business do you reckon have to close down
Have to close
within
down
1 year of being
within 1 year
established?
of being
The majority
established.
or a
Majority
minority?
or minority?
What proportion of new restaurant business do you reckon have to close down within 1 year of being established? The majority or minority? I reckon
I reckon a minority
of new
of
restaurant
new
businesses
restaurants
have
businesses
to close down
have to close
within
down
1 year
within
of
one
being
year
established.
of being established.
Very good. When we describe a company as well established, what do we mean? When we describe a company as well established, what do we mean? When we describe
When we
a
describe
company
a
as well
company
established,
as well
we
established,
mean the
we
company
mean the
has been
company
trading
has
for
been
a long
trading
time
for a long
and is
time
successful.
and is successful.
Very good. Okay, if you feel unsure about what to do in a particular situation at work, who should you consult?
Should
If
consult.
you feel unsure about what to do in a particular situation at work, who should you consult? If I feel
If I
unsure
feel
about
unsure
what to do
about what
in
to
a
do
particular
in a
situation
particular
at work,
situation at
I
work,
should consult
I should
my line
consult
manager.
my line manager.
Why? Why?
Because line manager gives us a correct correct way
hmm To do the job.
to do the job here.
Very good. They know what to do. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do businesses prefer to hire consultants for certain types of work rather than retain someone in-house?
in
Why do
house.
businesses prefer to hire consultants for certain types of work
Certain types of
rather
work
than retain someone
rather than
in-house?
retain someone in house.
Businesses prefer to
Businesses
hire
to
consultants
hire
for
consultant
certain types of
for
work
certain types of
rather
work
than retain
rather
someone
than retain
in-house
someone in
because the
house
specialist
because the
knowledge
specialist
that a
knowledge
consultant
that a
has
consultant
might not
has
be needed
might
often.
not be needed
So it's
often,
cheaper to
so
pay a
it's
fee
cheaper to pay
to
a
a
fee
consultancy
to a
firm when
consultancy firm
necessary
when necessary
than to retain someone in
than
house.
to retain someone in house.
Very good. And that's the end of our revision. Let's have
Hmm.
new work.
Okay, okay.
Very good. Okay. Let's start again. Repeat. Market research,
Market research,
survey,
survey,
questionnaire.
questionnaire.
Very good. Okay, listen. Okay, market research is a noun. It is a research that is done to get information about
Get
what people
information
want
about
to
what people
buy,
want.
what they want to buy,
What
etc., and why they want to buy it.
what
For example,
okay.
they had to conduct market research, then advertise the product.
Then I will advertise the
Survey is a
product.
noun. It is a set of questions that you ask a large number of people in order to find out about their opinion or
About their
behavior.
opinion,
For
behavior.
example, we conduct a survey to find out what students
Find
think
out
about
what students
sports.
sports.
Questionnaire is a noun. It is a written set of questions that
Set
are
of
given to
questions
people
that are given
in
to
order to
people
collect
who
facts or
collect
opinions about
facts,
something.
opinions about something.
For example, all staff were asked to fill in a questionnaire about their jobs.
About the job.
Let's practice. Name two common types of survey used in market research to obtain information from customers.
Information from customers.
Name two common types of survey used in market research to obtain information from customers, please. Two common types of
Two common
survey
types
used in
of
market
survey used
research
in market
to
research
obtain information
to
from
obtain
customers
information from
are
customers,
questionnaires, questionnaires,
questionnaires,
and interviews.
and interviews.
Very good. Next, repeat cutback.
Cutback.
Okay, so two words is a verb, cutback,
Cutback.
and then one word is a noun,
What
cutback.
about this now? What about now?
Next,
Cutback.
recession,
Recession.
downturn,
Downtown.
upturn,
Uptown.
circumstance.
Circumstance.
Very good. Okay, listen. Cutback is a phrasal verb. It means to use less of something.
Something.
For example, when I'm trying to reduce my
Try to
personal
reduce
spending,
my
I
personal
usually
spending.
cut back
I
on
usually cut
eating at
back
fancy
on eating
restaurants.
at fancy restaurant.
Okay, so that's two words, verb, cut back on
Okay.
eating. Next, as a noun, cut back as a noun, it is the act of reducing the number or amount of something. For example, he is opposed to further
What's
cutbacks in
cut back?
military spending.
Let's see.
Okay, recession is a noun. It is a period of time in which there is a decrease in economic activity and many people do not have jobs
Many
or
people
lose
have
their
jobs.
jobs.
Lose their
For
jobs.
example, many people lost their jobs during the
Lost their
recent
during
recession.
the recent recession.
Downturn is a noun. It is a situation in which something
Situation
such
in
as
which some
business or
such
economic
business
activity
economic
decreases
activities
or become worse.
decreases or become
For
worse.
example, there's been a downturn in the housing
Turn
market.
in the housing market.
Upturn is a noun. It is the opposite of downturn.
Opposite of
Circumstance is a noun. It is a
circumstance.
condition or fact that affects a situation. For
Situation.
example, I can't imagine a circumstance in which I would be
Circumstance in
willing
which
to
I would
steal.
be willing to
Hmm,
steal.
let's practice.
Okay.
When you're trying to reduce your personal spending, what kind of things do you usually cut back on?
Cut
When
back
you're
on
trying to reduce your personal spending,
your
what kind of
personal
things do you
spending.
usually cut back on? When I'm trying to
When I'm
reduce
trying
my
to
personal
reduce
spending,
my personal
I
spendings,
usually cut back
I
on
usually cut back on shopping website.
shopping website. Very good. Yeah. It's very like I always do that also. Okay, next. Under what circumstances might a government introduce cutbacks on public spending?
Public spending.
Under what circumstances might a government introduce cutbacks on public spending? A government. might
A
introduce
government might
cutbacks
introduce
on
cutbacks
public spending
on public
during a
spendings
recession
during a
or when
recession
there's a
when
serious
there is a
downturn
serious
in the economy.
downturn in the economy.
Very good. What's the opposite of the word downturn? What's the opposite of the word downturn?
About
The
downturn.
opposite of
The
the word
opposite of the
downturn
word
is
downtown
upturn.
is uptown.
Very good. Next, repeat goods,
Goods,
services.
services,
Very good. Okay, listen. There are various ideas about the exact
services,
difference between
exact
goods and
difference between
services.
goods and services.
However, one simple idea is that
One
goods
simple
are
idea is
likely
that
to be
goods
physical
are likely
things
to
like
be physical
products,
things,
whereas
like
services
products,
are not. It can't be
are not,
seen.
it
For
can be seen.
example, mobile phones and clothes are goods
Clothes
that we
are
sell.
goods we sell.
Training and advice and our like skill development are services.
Are services.
Okay, let's practice. Name me some things that we definitely refer to as goods rather than services. Name me some
Services.
things that we'd definitely refer to as goods rather than services. Some things
Some
we'd
things
definitely
we
refer to as
definitely refer
goods
to as goods
rather than services
rather than
are
services
cars,
are
pens,
cars,
books,
pens,
clothes,
books,
etc.
clothes, etc.
Right, and name me some things we definitely refer to as services. Name some things we
Some things
definitely refer
we
to as
refer
services.
to as
Some
services.
things we'd
Some things
definitely refer to as
we
services
definitely refer to as
are
services
insurance
are
policies,
insurance policies,
haircuts, advice
haircuts,
from a consultant,
advice from a consultant,
etc.
etc.
Very good. Next, repeat decline,
Decline,
inflation,
inflation,
mortgage,
mortgage,
default,
default,
consumer confidence.
consumer confidence.
Very good. Okay, listen, decline is a verb. Okay. It means to become lower in amount or less in number, to decline.
Number,
For
decline.
example, an increase in cars has resulted in the decline of
So
public
decline
transport.
of public transport.
Inflation is a noun. It is a
No,
continual increase in the price of goods and
increase in the price
services.
of goods
For
and
example,
services.
during a period of rapidly increasing inflation,
Increase
I'd
in
expect
inflation.
consumer confidence to grow.
Consumer confidence to grow.
Mortgage is a noun. Okay, mortgage is a noun. It is a legal agreement in which a
Legal
person
agreement
borrows
in
money
which
to buy
person borrows
property,
money
such as a
to buy
house,
property
and pays
such as a
back the
house
money over a period of years.
or period of
For
years.
example, he will have to take out a mortgage in order to buy the house.
To buy the
Default
house.
is a verb. It means to fail to do something that legally must be done, especially
Must be done,
to
especially
fail to make the payment you must make on a loan, mortgage, etc. To
mortgage.
fail to pay the monthly fee.
To fail to
For example, if the borrower defaults, the bank can take the house.
take the
Okay,
house.
last one. Consumer confidence is a noun. It is
It's
the
a noun.
measure of the degree of
Measure of the
confidence
degree
people
of
have
confidence
in the
people
economy
have in the
as a
economy
whole and in their
as a
own
whole
financial
in
situation.
their own financial
If
situation.
consumer confidence is high,
Consumer
people
confidence
spend
is high.
more
People
and the
spend more.
economy expands.
The economy
For
expands.
example, there is a recent increase in consumer confidence, so people are buying a lot of
People
things.
are buying a lot of things.
Let's practice.
Mm.
During a period of rapidly increasing inflation, would you expect consumer confidence to grow or decline? During a period of rapidly increasing inflation, would you expect consumer confidence to grow or decline? During a period
During a
of
period
rapidly
of
increasing
rapidly
inflation,
increasing
I'd
inflation,
expect consumer
I'd expect
confidence
the consumer confidence
to
to confidence to decline.
decline. Very good. Why? Why do you think so?
Because if the inflation caused rapidly, uh, they cannot pay a lot of money for high prices.
That's correct. And they can only buy few things with their money, right?
Few things with their money. Yeah,
That's
that's
correct.
right.
Fewer things with the money. Very good. Okay. Is a bank more likely or less likely to decline a request for a mortgage if it thinks
Mortgage.
the customer might default on the loan?
Might default on
Is
the
a
loan.
bank more likely or less likely to decline a request for a mortgage if it thinks the customer might default on the loan? Yes, a bank.
yes, a bank
is more likely
is
to
more
decline
likely
a
to
request
decline a
for
request
a mortgage
for a
if it
mortgage
thinks the
if it
customer
thinks
might
the
default
customer
on the
might
loan.
default on the loan.
Very good. Okay, so now let's move on to reading.
Ah, okay. Reading. Okay.
Very good. So our reading starts at stage five, not stage, page five,
Page
and the
5.
last headword was contribute.
Contribute.
Contribute. Okay, start with policy.
Contribute. Policy. Ah,
Uh-huh.
okay. I
Mhm.
found it. Okay. Policy.
Mhm.
If you were a business owner, what would your policy be on staff using their personal mobile phones at work? If I were a business owner, my policy,
On staff
mm, my policy on staff using their personal mobile phones at work,
would be that.
it would be that they are only allowed to use it during break time.
Very good.